action. So why did you write Turning Tuscan?
I'm glad you asked. It was really the only thing I could do for about a month when I was laying flat on my back in the hospital. I wrote it during between the fifth and sixth year that we had been living in Italy full time. All the people that come on our tours are Americans, so they're always interested in what is it like to live in Italy? How did you get adjusted here? What about your kids, and so on and so forth. So I had 1,000,001 stories to tell people about what it's like living in Italy. And then after finishing a tour, I found that I was running a fever that I couldn't get rid of. Finally went into the hospital, get it checked out. They checked me in, they wouldn't let me go out. And it turned out I was diagnosed with endocarditis, and I was flat on my back getting antibiotics for 4 weeks. When you have lemons, you might as well make lemonade. So I made lemonade, and I would sit and write for a few hours every day and tell these stories that I had been telling our travelers about what it's actually like living in Italy. Going to your PTA meeting where, there's 2 men and like 15 women who have all come, and the 2 guys are looking at each other like, how did you get stuck doing this? And everybody sits in a circle, and the women all talk at each other simultaneously in a hole that's echoey. And you realize that the goal of this thing is for people to come and emote, and they sit there and they all go like this. E io ho detto, ma è impossibile così, non ci credi, blah, blah, blah. And after they do that for about 20 minutes, they feel really good, and then they go home. These are the mysteries that you uncover only after being here for a while. People that sit down in front of you at a meeting, they turn and they say, excuse my shoulders. People that are in an elevator will always stand around the periphery because no one wants to turn their back because that's considered insulting. If it gets really crowded in the elevator and somebody has to stand in front of the doors in the pole position, they turn, they say, scusami le spalle, excuse my shoulders. People getting off a bus will say arrivederci to their fellow bus passengers. People leaving a doctor's office will say buonasera a tutti. And when was the last time in an American doctor's office that you heard anyone saying goodbye to the fellow patients with whom they had been sitting in silence while they were waiting for their appointment? There are all kinds of things that you observe that are very different about Italian life, but you don't see them until you've been here for a while. You have enough language to understand what's going on. But the most important thing is you're not yet acculturated to the point where everything seems normal. I couldn't write the book anymore today because we've been here 15 years. Everything about Italy seems perfectly normal to me at this point. And, fortunately, I had the opportunity of tracking these things, writing them down, and taking these, creating these little vignettes of different slices of life, the ritualized way people have their meals, the fact that no one drinks a cappuccino after dinner. And, there's nothing rational about any of the stuff. You can ask people, why don't you drink cappuccino after dinner? And they look at you like, well, after a big meal, it's a milk, and, their face changes. It's like it's milk, it's heavy, like after a big meal. And you ask, well, what about like tiramisu, zuppa inglese, panna cotta, zabaglione? I mean, and ice cream, and you point out to them, these are all things made with milk and heavy cream, and nobody thinks twice about eating them for dessert after a big meal. But there's something about cappuccino, and you realize you've kind of hit them, with a cognitive dissonance, or they've never really thought about that, and they don't know really how to answer your question. There's also customer service, which is the litmus test for anybody considering moving to Italy and trying to live here. You got to be able to have a really strong constitution to stomach customer service in Italy. It's bad beyond your imagination. Trust me, being on hold and getting some guy with a heavy accent from Bangladesh who's your customer service rep, you'll look back on those good old days of that kind of customer service with fondness after you've experienced it in Italy.